First of all, good morning, everyone. So let's just set the stage. And I think history is better served when we tell the entire story. Since that first shot fired from Lexington Green, Massachusetts in 1775, Black Americans have defended this country all the way up to the Civil War. Mr. Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation was really unenforceable without a victory on the battlefield. But there was one clause he wrote: any man of African descent who wants to fight for the Union Army or the United States Navy will be allowed to do so. Over 209,000 men of color defended the United States. As a result of their efforts, after the war, they authorized, it was like 6 units at first, 2 cav, 4 infantry, and by 1869 it was down to 2, the 24th, 25th Infantry, the 9th and 10th Cav. They fought in Spanish-American War. They fought in World War I. 1925, the United States Army did a report called The Use of Negro Manpower in Wartime, and essentially here's what they said. Black folks are leaderless. They are not patriotic, superstitious, smaller brains, inferior to the white man in every way. And that's the lens through which the military was looking at going into World War II. But we had some folk who rose to the challenge. 688, Women's Postal Battalion, went overseas. Montford Port Marines, USS Mason, the crew was all black except for the officers. 761st Tank Battalion, and how can we forget the Tuskegee Airmen who showed that black folk could fly? In 1948, President Harry S. Truman signed a presidential executive order desegregating the United States military. Now, the Buffalo Soldiers had been serving since the end of the Civil War, or after the Civil War, and now we get to Korea. I gotta tell y'all, I'm sitting up here with 2 superheroes, so if it starts happening, it was necessary. I want to introduce to you our panelists. Mr. Henry Floyd Wright is a veteran of the Korean War, born in July 1931. He entered the Army in May of 1950, immediately after high school graduation. He was assigned to the basic training at Fort Knox, Kentucky in July 1950. 1 month after the war began on the peninsula of Korea, June 26, 1950. Before being deployed to Korea, while on a 14-day leave of absence from basic training, he married his childhood sweetheart, Miss Gladys, now deceased. Following leave, he reported to Fort Lewis in Seattle, Washington, where he was assigned to M Company in the 3rd Battalion and subsequently sent to Korea to help stem the flow of communism to ensure South Korea remained free. Upon arriving at Busan, Korea, Henry was assigned to the 24th Infantry Regiment Service Company at Headquarters 2nd Battalion, where he served in intelligence and reconnaissance. The 24th Infantry Regiment was comprised of all black men known as the Buffalo Soldiers. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Henry Floyd Wright. Sergeant First Class retired James Thompson, and let me tell you, I've just met him, and I got to listen to this man. Is a native of New York, and he entered the military as an infantryman in February 1948. After finishing basic training at Fort Dix, New Jersey, his first duty station was in Europe from June of 1948 to June 1949. Once he returned to the U.S., he was put on a troop train west, where he ended his journey in Japan, where he was assigned to the 24th Infantry Regiment. Sergeant First Class was moved from Japan to Busan, Korea. We had one more panelist who was supposed to be here today, Mr. Robert Gross, but he passed 22 October 24, just a few weeks ago. I'm going to ask Mr. Thompson if you would share what you know about Mr. Gross.
Yes, Robert Gross was a past president of the Northeast chapter, and he served with us in Korea. He was looking forward to being here. And it really, really hurt us that we lost him.
So I didn't get a chance to meet him, and yet I did. There's a clip on YouTube of him. It is 74 seconds. And I got so much out of that 74 seconds. The interviewer asked him his name, and he answered that. And then he said, do you have any experiences? Mr. Gross said, combat experiences? I got a whole lot. And at that moment, I said, I wish I had the opportunity to meet him. And then he was asked the question, why are you here? And he didn't hesitate. Here's what he said. I'm here to be with the boys. I'm here to fellowship. I am here to be with the old vets. We got some young up-and-coming officers and NCOs in here. I have a question for you this morning. Why are you here? Because you got an opportunity to learn something that will carry you throughout the rest of your life. What is it that goes on inside of these men and women, especially those who've been in combat? Oliver Wendell Holmes, Associate Justice for the Supreme Court, but was also a Vietnam veteran. He was a Civil War veteran, said this: we have shared the incommunicable experience of war. We have felt, we still feel the passion of life to its top. In our youth, our hearts were touched with fire. You know why they don't talk about their experiences? Because unless you've lived it, they would not be able to find the language adequate enough to explain it to you. So we honor you, gentlemen, and everyone else who has served and taken the oath to spill their blood in the sand if necessary. Gentlemen, we say this morning, thank you. All right, so let's get to the meat. You got all these questions you want to ask, but let's just get right into it. Gentlemen, I want to ask you, starting with Mr. Wright, you guys pretty much grew up during World War II. What was your experience like growing up during World War II?
Well, during World War II, I was raised on the farm. My older brother, he was in service. I was about 12 years old at that time. So I had all the duties to help my father there on the farm. And I enjoyed it growing up, but during the war, I kept up with what was going on. Nowadays, we had these old radios with a long pole in there. And we would always sit back and listen to that news. I had an old gentleman that lived behind me in the field. He always would come out to the mailbox to pick up his mail. And he would come by, stop at our house, and sit on the edge of the porch. And he could tell you everything that was going on during World War II at that time.
Mr. Thompson?
Oh, World War II, I'm from Brooklyn, man. We was outside partying. We didn't care about it. We didn't even know about it. We didn't know about an army. So they was telling us we were at war. And Mussolini just surrendered. Say, who's Mussolini? We was just coming back from Far Rockaway and stuff, But all seriousness, yeah, we kept in touch, okay, with the wars. We knew what was going on. We had the papers, we knew, okay? But we did our war bonds, and we did what they said, keep the lights off, keep the shades closed, okay? You had meatless Tuesday, you didn't have no meat on Tuesday. Everybody go around the back of the butcher shop and get their meat, you know. Same old, nothing changed, just different day, you know.
So, you know, when Korea starts, a lot of folk have to pick up a map to find out where it even is. And, you know, and so we've, I think we brought the audience up to you guys getting into Korea. Let me ask you this, what's your most specific combat experience in your time in Korea that you remember, and how is that significant to you? Mr. Ray.
The most important event that really we suffered was on Christmas Eve, 1950, once we withdrew from North Korea, we were on the Emden River, and we had Christmas dinner early. We had made the mistake of having Thanksgiving dinner up in North Korea, and we had a breakthrough during that night, and we had to withdraw. So we decided to eat Christmas dinner early, and after Christmas dinner, this was on one of the first patrols that we had been on since we left North Korea. The North Korean army had not showed up for a couple of weeks. Nobody knew where they were. So our duty was to go out, cross the Emden River, search a town, and try to find out as much as we could about the enemy. Meanwhile, we crossed the Emden River, and we were searching the town. I was assistant radio man. The radio man and I and one squad leader stayed on the outside of town while the other men went inside the town to search.
My main thing is to let them know.
So, Mr. Thompson, what do you remember as your most significant experience, and how did it affect you as a leader?
Same is right, just about. I was in L Company, he was in M Company, right?
I was in headquarters.
Headquarters.
Second Battalion.
2nd Battalion. I was 3rd Battalion, L Company. I remember we was up the Yalu River and we started pulling back when the Chinese came in. And it was cold as hell. And we hadn't had our winter gear. They haven't given us no winter gear yet, okay? Now that was miserable, because we went in July and we had field jackets. And we started picking up from the dead bodies going back south, and that's how we got back. A lot of our members of the 24th was frostbitten. We didn't receive no winter gear until we were some staging area in the back of us. I don't remember.
If something else you wanted to share with us, you were talking to me about, I think you should go ahead and share it.
Yes. Number one, 1950. Now, I want everybody to understand this. The military was segregated, okay? They were segregated. In 1950, June, we was alerted that the North Koreans have overran South Korea, okay? The first unit to go to Korea, and I want you to remember this, the first unit to go to Korea was the 24th Division. was Operation Smith. Okay? The 24th Infantry Regiment, 25th Division, which we was in, we was alerted, and we didn't leave until July. I personally know that we landed in Pusan, L Company, on the 13th of July. We got off the boats, we got on a train, we rode that train for about 4 hours. We got dismounted from that train and mounted on the trucks for another couple hours. I was first combat in July 20th. We had the first fire, we took fire, and we had to take a town called Yushan, Korea, that the North Koreans had overrun the South Koreans. It took us about 16 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, 16 hours. We took that town. That's the first victory in Korea, and it was taken by the 24th Infantry Buffalo Soldiers. People are unaware of this, okay? It's not in the books. They didn't put it in the paper because it was colored troops. First thing we heard, oh, the 24th, they dropped their weapons, they ran. They didn't fight. They didn't fight. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. How many units in Korea overran a POW camp? The 24th, we overran 2 POW camps. And everybody in there, none of them in there was a person of color. It was the first camp in the 24th Division. It's people that we say, those are the people that spit on us. Okay? A whole big chain. They want to drink our water, smoke our cigarette. Happy to see it. Yes, we freed them. But yet and all, they're going to call us cowards, that we didn't fight. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. We took Battle Mountain 19 times in 30 days. And on the 30th day, we had that mountain. Cowards? We're no cowards. We had the first Medal of Honor winner in the 25th Division. Ladies and gentlemen, we had the first bayonet charge in the 25th Division and took the objective. Cowards? We're not cowards. We're the highest decorated regiment in the United States Army. And we're cowards. It all boiled down to 24th Division started that. They got overrun. We wasn't even in country. They're trying to clear it up. They don't have to clear it up. We know. We had the most casualties and in the division because we was a point regiment. Cowards? Oh, no.
Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who was the founder of what we know today as African American History Month, said that if you don't see yourself in history, if you don't have a worthwhile tradition, you will be relegated to a place of negligibility, and then you will be on the verge of extinction. Now, those ain't my words, those are his, but here's the point. It is good for people to see you gentlemen, to see living testimonies of valor. So, Mr. Thompson, let me ask you, and Mr. Wright, I'll ask you this question. How do you feel now that you are starting to be recognized for your exploits? There are other black units who are just now becoming recognized. How do you feel about your story being told to the world?
When it was brought to my attention, since I'm the national president, it's about time, it's overdue. We put in for the medal, the Presidential Gold Medal. It's on the floor. It's been on the floor. We're trying to get it passed. Overdue, way overdue. Our history should be out. It's not black history, it's American history.
Say it. Mr. Wright, how do you feel? How do you feel about your story being told now and you being recognized?
I feel great that we finally are being recognized. Even back home, I have been quite busy. This for the last 2 or 3 months, coming up to Veterans Day. I've been interviewed quite a few times. And I've just lately got to be, we get the recognition we should have had a long time ago.
Oh, my goodness. So gentlemen, and you both can answer, how should the Buffalo Soldiers be remembered?
You know, for our deeds and what we did. We don't ask for no more, we just ask for what we did. Give us credit for that. Just give us credit. When you write your books, tell the truth. Tell the truth. Because it's history. And along the line, somewhere down the line, somebody gonna ask that question. Who was the Buffalo Soldiers? You can now tell them.
Mr. Wright?
I am thankful that I served with the Buffalo Soldiers 24th Infantry Regiment, along with U.S. and foreign forces to work to free the Korea. South Korea is free today because we work together in the fight for freedom. And today, I hope that we here at home can recognize that we have been through what we are seeing here in America today. And I hope that we will continue in the United States to fight for freedom.
So I want to say this, as we're coming down to the end of this segment. I'm looking at a lot of young and up-and-coming leaders in this room. Let me remind you that you are standing on the shoulders of those who came before you. And you should be formulating your questions because you may not get this opportunity again. You may learn something that will carry you throughout the rest of your life. So I say to all of you youngsters coming up, maintain your characters, doing the right thing when no one is looking. Be competent at what you do and care enough for your people that you will raise the level of excellence and just care for them. So we're gonna allow you to have questions.
We've got a few minutes for questions, so please raise your hand when you speak. I will ask you first to introduce yourself and then ask your question. So go ahead and raise your hands. We'll get a mic too. Hand up over here. Over here. And then over here.
Trace Adams, sophomore from the Citadel, and first I want to thank you for coming and sharing your amazing experiences with us. And my question for you today is, how did the experiences that you went through, that you continue to go through today, shape your perspective on leadership, and how could that be something that we as young people in this room could take away from that?
Good question. It's on you. It's on you. Oh, so the question was, What can you say to these up-and-coming leaders about how your experiences could help shape their leadership?
Learn your job, pay attention. And all you young officers out there, listen to your sergeants. Listen to your sergeants.
Yes, sir.
Listen to your NCO, and you'll be okay.
Next question. I know we had an order right here. You got it. Yeah, I think he's number 2, and then he's number 3.
Charles Eggleston, military order Purple Heart, multiple Purple Heart recipient, and the whistleblower for the Walter Reed scandal in '06. I'm trying to figure, in the conversation I've been hearing from these young guys up on stage, what do they like to resonate to these upcoming warfighters that's about to take the field? Because I know the feeling on being so by yourself when I blew the whistle at Walter Reed about the dysfunctional care of our combat wounded that was coming back in numbers that the system, it shook the whole system. Our system wasn't built for that. And I'm wondering, after sitting in the hospital 3.5 years, going through 56 surgeries, putting me back together again, how do they centrifugate that knowledge that they have? And I love the knowledge base, because if it wasn't for guys like you, I tried to commit suicide while I was in the hospital because I was so frustrated about being in the hospital. And one of you guys talked me out of it. Korean and Vietnam War.
What was your question, sir?
The question is, what's the big gift to the young warfighters, potential warfighters that's coming online now as great advice as leaders, the new leaders of the military?
Mr. Wright, why don't you take that? What would you say, the great advice to give to these leaders, or one thing they can carry for the rest of their life?
Is continue to work with other countries, because together we stand. We are strong. If one is attacked, you all are attacked. But if you're by yourself, you're not going to stand long.
We had one more question over here. Did you get your mic, sir?
I can say
Thank you.
Now, we need you to use the mic because it's being recorded.
Midshipman First Class Young from the Naval Academy. I was wondering, what sustains you when you have stuff like the horrible conditions in Korea with the weather, the racial inequality and adversity you had to face with the military trying to transition to unsegregating, and it just not happening? And overall, just the realities of war, what sustains you?
Both of you, what sustains you? What sustains you?
Under those terrible circumstances, war, cold, prejudice, all of it. What sustained you? What kept you going?
Well, personally, what kept me going was we was there, we had a job to do. I didn't want that man to shoot me. I wanted to get myself back. So it was up to me to try to keep him down. We work for the Army. It's a job. You're a private. You follow the leader. He said, we're going to take this mountain. That's what you're going to do. Okay? You're not going to let that guy overrun your position. It's one thing to understand, it's one thing to try to figure out, which we all are still trying to figure out, how the hell I come through Korea.
Mr. Wright, what sustained you? What got you through?
Thinking about what I was missing at home kept me going. I had a son that was born in February 1951. And I was sent that, my wife sent me the picture. And I carried that picture with me the whole while I was in Korea, thinking that one day I would be able to come home and see him.
Ladies and gentlemen, Buffalo Soldiers, Mr. Wright and Mr. Thompson.
Would you tell him?
Thank you very much. Hold on a minute.
Mr. Thompson's got flyers for those of you who wanted, talking about their stories. I got mine, so if any of you want it, they're here for distribution. Thank you, gentlemen.